Abdul Kul She Wat Wuba Samus Shilpa Temta. Greetings. I am Ankh California Kyrie L. I'm also the authorized representative of Amenhotep. And I think in this video we have some important stuff to discuss, so we will get right into it. It is concerning really my daughter. She's a year and 3 months old, and we have a ongoing concern that I would like to share facts and not just belief. And this is what is happening. What is happening? What is happening? I will show what is happening. What is happening is that I am not seeing my daughter, and I want people to know that I and my daughter and I, we are not part of the corporation called the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Meaning, what goes on with Trinidad and Tobago affairs, whether it's politics or the judiciary, whatever, we are not part of that, my daughter and I. That declaration was declared to the Prime Minister Keith Rowley, or Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, and I'm going to read it for everyone because it has been published on the internet several times. The document that I sent to Dr. Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm saying here that there are some issues that we will clear up tonight, or we will have to deal with, and because when you go to these vessels called the courthouse, there are difference between how they treat certain people and how they treat black people is what they're trying to do to me. But I am white. In this, what I'll be showing, it is stating how the corporation called the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, people who they hire as judges and magistrates, want to tell indigenous people how to live their lives. And this is proof. This is facts of what has been happening. Let's get into it. You will see here this mark Form 1 on the Domestic Violence Act 1999. What it is saying here is Debian Villarreal. It has addressed here 13 2nd Avenue, Cashew Gardens, and Amenhotep, who I am the authorized representative of. And you see it marks here child father. They know that I am the child's father. Okay? And then it says also here that on previous occasions, one threatened and harmed the applicant. This other one here, this is number 2, molesting and harassing the applicant by posting information on social media. Number 3, persistently telephoning the applicant, use obscene language and threatening language towards her. And number 4, applicant is seeking protection order. Alright, this is what we have. This is the first one, and this is what I was invited into the vessel to nothing really was discussed about this. Nothing was discussed because the result of this, and it was not discussed. And added to that, as I said, I presented my legal documents in the court. My legal documents in the court together with my daughter, who this is about, international and legal documents. And I will read it so everyone will know what these corporations are doing or trying to do, I should say, with indigenous people. What came out of this document here is what I'm going to read now. Okay? And let's see if you could take a look, see if you could see it. And if you might see everything, so many, but what is it saying is final order. With effect from today, and this date is the what? the 6th day of December 2019. Okay, what came out of this is this: the final order with effect from today by consent. By consent. This is what was written. I didn't write this. This is what was written. With effect from today by consent, that the applicant shall have legal custody of child Neferimol. That's my daughter, Neferimol, right? And it has the date of birth with access to respondent, that's me, every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Respondent shall have liberal access otherwise. Liberal access. Respondent also agreed to pay the sum of $350 per week at maintenance for said child, and as well as half cost of medical, dental, optical care, school books, and uniform. These orders apply until the said child is 18 years or until further ordered. So, I am indigenous. My daughter is indigenous. Let me read the name of this order. This order is, you see the name here? Yes, this is the name here. Mr. Nicholas Ali, Magistrate Tribunals. So Mr. Nicholas Ali took it upon himself, because that is his name there, to make decision for me about my daughter, who is indigenous. So I had to take my daughter 7 o'clock in the morning and have to carry her back 8 o'clock in the night, only on a Saturday. Now this was done before, this was not a decision by me, this was done before, but this is a long story to get into that. Because the problem, the issue, and still is, I am not seeing my daughter. And you have to go through this, and you're still not seeing her. Although they make these rules and these regulations. So let me get to this part quick. This is another document from Mr. Ali, and this is from this is 18th of March now. Oops, yes, 18th. This is document saying here, interim order varied to have pickup time varied from 8. All right, let me get this. This is not what I want to read. Let me read this part before, because this is going to make sense. Okay, let me see what happened here. What happened here is that I was not seeing my daughter at all. Okay, I went to the court at day 45 when I was not seeing my daughter. It didn't help. It reached day 67 when we went into the court again. And I saw my daughter. I had my daughter for 3 weeks. The 8 o'clock in the morning and carry her back. No, 7 o'clock in the morning and carry her back 8 o'clock in the night. My daughter. And I had to take her up in the police station. So I have to go in the police station. I am indigenous, my daughter is indigenous. We are not state property. The corporation called the Government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, we are not part of that. My daughter and I are indigenous. We are not state property. Mr. Nicholas Ali, you have to present. I gave my document onto the court. I gave my document onto Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. You bring your document. I have published my documents that I'm going to read. You bring your documents and you show how much, where you got the rights. Show your oath of office. Show what you have that gives you the right to you determine what I must and must not do with my daughter. You show what rights and what you show your authority that you have on indigenous people. Let us go again. This is for me to pick my daughter. Decided to get my daughter from 7 o'clock in the morning in the police station and carry her back 8 o'clock. It went on for 3 weeks. After that, the time was changed. And look, it was changed. This is the time it was changed to. Where I had to pick my daughter up. Applicant. Let me see if you can see it. This is it here. This is it here. This is it here. This is it here. Let me see if you can see it. Get a little nice little peep if you can see it. Right? Interim order varied to pick up time. Varied to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Applicant to have access on the 11th. This was in April. This never happened. The point I'm making here is the time was moved from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. in the evening. That is, I have to, but I only live with that for 1 week. Because after that, I have not seen my daughter. And today is day 140. Day 140, I have not seen my daughter. And this is what these people are doing to indigenous people here in Kyrie, Misnomer, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not a hard question for you, Mr. Ali. This is a very easy question. You produce your documents showing what rights you have, what gives you the right to have over indigenous people like myself and my daughter. I gave you the documents, I presented the documents to you. I'm going to read it for everybody else will know now what I gave to Dr. Kate Christopher Rowley. And I am not to be treated that the way how you feel you should treat everybody. No, because Mr. Rowley and you, if you have daughter, you will know, it's 72 that I didn't see my daughter for and nothing was done about it. And I only had that for 3 weeks. And the time that you tell me I have to get to my daughter, that is which is 7 o'clock in the morning to 8 in the night, that is how my daughter is being treated. And then from 1 week from 8 in the morning to that, and this is day 140 after that, and I do not know if my daughter is dead or if she's alive. I want to see what you have to tell me that this is your right over me and my daughter, or my daughter and I. We are indigenous people. I am taking this to Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley because there is no help, and I'm going to read what I gave to him, what I gave to you. And this is a legal and an international document, as you could. This is a legal document that it is international. This is a legal international, and I said so. I will read it. And do not know if everybody will see, but I'll do my best. So everybody will see that this is nothing fake. This is real. This is real. I'm trying to center it so everybody could see. But I will read it still because this has been posted on the internet several times. This has been published several times and will be published again. Okay, this is statutory declaration. Alright? Regarding vital statistics, number child, birth certificate. And it has the number of my daughter, Nefermol Adjobmol Hitep. That is her name. And that's her birth paper's number. So there's no missing. Because the number of who it is we are speaking of. Okay, I am Nas Hitep. That's me. Now known as Ankalipona Kyrie L. That's what I said in the beginning. On behalf of my daughter Nefermol Adjobmol Hitep. Now known as, that is how she's known as now, Aset Kea Ainala El Kyrie. In Bagna Trace Village, that is where I deal. And this is where it starts now. Do solemnly declare, I am speaking here, in accordance with 1931 Statute of Westminster, and they are linked, 1778 Article of Confederation and Perpetual Union, Article 11, the 1812 Treaty of Kent, that's a treaty, 1794 J Treaty, 1836 Treaty of Marrakesh, that's in Morocco, all recognized as valid treaties, Constitution for the United States of America, and 1948 Charter of the United Nations, and also the Pope Apology to Indigenous People. And there's a link, if you can see the blue is the link that if you're on your computer, your phone, you click on, you see all these things. It also says in here, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Okay? The United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People. United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Alright. The American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. American Declaration of the Rights on the Rights of Indigenous People. My daughter and I are indigenous. Let's go again. and the United Nations Decade, and the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent. That's a right that I have. Upon discovering that the registration of a lifeboat on April 16, 2019 at Montaup, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, okay, that says there that upon discovering, right, that the contract, let me read it again. Upon discovering that the registration of lifeboat on April 16, that's when my daughter was, when she came here in Montaup, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, with a contract. It was a contract between myself, her mother, and the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, who did not tell us that they were selling her, a flesh and blood indigenous child, to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago as their chattel property or slave, which is a violation of human rights. And this is what I'm saying. This is what we are getting at. That's this. That is the main thing that we are dealing with here right now. And we're going to see where it came from. Who did not tell us that they were selling our child, flesh and blood, as a chattel property? Hence the reason why I'm saying that we are not part of the corporation. The corporation does not own us as their chattel property. I will continue reading. Which is a violation of human rights. Remember I said that? I, the father of Nefermul, Ajabmul, Hitep, thereby void the contract ab initio for fraud. My daughter is an indigenous flesh and blood female of Kalipona, Moor, and Taino descent, in accord with the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People and HJR 194. So yes, my daughter and I, we are not state property because we are indigenous. We are flesh and blood. Let's go on. It is going to get more interesting. And there's the linked United States apology to African American for slavery. Here's the link. Then they have the US apology, right, to Native American. And that's us. You have the Department of Defense Appropriation Act, right? And these are linked. And you have Regina versus Ja. This is where Regina versus Ja, where Regina is Queen Elizabeth. And this is what happened on May the 14th, 2011. Okay, on May the 14th, 2011, at Southwark Crown Court, 1 English Ground in Southwark, London, England, defendant John Anthony Hill in the United Kingdom proved before an English jury that Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor Mountbatten Battenberg Saxe-Coburg was not the rightful monarch and never was. Queen Elizabeth is not the rightful monarch and never was. This was a two-part argument. First, that Elizabeth knew both then and now that she was crowned on a fake coronation stone instead of the real coronation stone, which meant not only was she never properly crowned, but secondly, she also knowingly and fraudulently conned the public, and that is why she didn't want her coronation televised. I declare now that Nefermul, Ajabmul, and I will say Villarreal, Hitep, that is the name on block letters, on the registration of lifeboat Herbert paper, is a corporation, and Nefermul in low clap, in uppercase and lowercase. Ajabmul Villarreal Hitep is an indigenous flesh and blood female of Kalipona, Moor, and Taino descent. My daughter is not a corporation, artificial person, natural person, or fictitious entity, or vessel of the corporate government called the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the Shipping Act 50/10 and Joga 50/11/7. And I give notice domestically, universally, via this declaration, that I deny corporate existence on the reservation of all my rights and my child's rights, unalienable and otherwise. My child is an indigenous autochthon of this planet, and I make this solemn declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true, and that it is the same force and effect as if under an oath. This is the document that was sent to Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And he got it. It was received and it was published. This is my daughter's document, and this is the cover of this sheet, and these are the people you will hear that Dr. Rowley is to CC this document to. And this document and this cover sheet here is only a part of there are about 40 other pages of attachments that goes along with this document, which we're not going to get into. But this is not the only two documents. There are a lot of attachments that went into this to proving what this is. This is real. Let's go and see. This is my daughter here. Okay? On behalf of my daughter, if you could see, let me see. I don't know if you'll see it. On behalf of my daughter, the Firmula Jummal Hitep, right? The Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, Office of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Prime Minister, Statute of Declaration in accordance with the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People. Alright? Thank you for your time. And this is my signature here. See my signature there? Signature here. UCC 1-308. All rights reserved. All rights reserved. All rights reserved. Please CC a copy of this document to the following parties. Ms. Paula Weeks, this is Ms. Paula Weeks, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, Chief Nyanya Shabuel, Registered Copyright Trademark, Hasekata Nation of Yamasee. His phone number here, his email address is here, his Facebook name, account, everything is here. Chief Nyanya Shabuel, Chief of the Hasekata Nation of Yamasee. Is who I get this document from. The Justice General Arturo Sosa Abascal, that's the priest that wears the black robe. Pope Francis I, the Vatican / the Holy See. Elizabeth II, the United Kingdom. United States President / CEO Donald J. Trump, and the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. This is who this document is going to, concerning my daughter and I. We are not state property. So for Mr. Nicholas Ali to come and you have to really produce your documents, you know, because this is what is happening here, and I am not who you probably think I am. You have to produce your documents to see what rights you have to tell me when and when. I have not seen my daughter for day 140 today. Where is my daughter? Why this is just paper, because nothing is happening on that paper. It is just paper. This if the corporation called the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago continues to do things like that, that is genocide. Why does my daughter cannot see her daddy? That is genocide. That is what that is. And for 140 days I have not seen my daughter. That is kidnapping. And this is where we're going to go with it, because this is, and I gave to the Court of Trinidad and Tobago with Mr. Nicholas Ali the Genocide Act and the Kidnapping Act, along with the other attachments I gave when I presented this document to him, and that was on the 27th of January in 2020. All my documents concerning myself and my daughter, and nothing I received from you, Mr. Ali. All I got is these copies of paper, and I had to pay $10 for it and wait 2 weeks. That's what I got from you. My documents was never addressed. All these things what is going on here. Today, 140 years, I have not seen my daughter. My daughter is indigenous. I just want to read something here from the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. The rights that indigenous people have. That's their right. And I'm indigenous. We read about the Queen. Queen Elizabeth is a fake. According to that article, Queen Elizabeth is a hoax. That's it. Her throne has been claimed by Chief Nana Shabuel. It's there, it's on the internet. It's there. Take a look at it. I'm going to read quick from the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. This Article 2, indigenous people and individuals are free and equal to all peoples and individuals and have the right to be free from all kinds of discrimination in the exercise of their rights, in particular that based on their indigenous origin or identity. I'm reading quick now. Indigenous people have the right to self-determination. Indigenous people have the right to self-determination. That's a right that I have. I have a right to determine for myself. That is my right. As indigenous people, I have that right. And I have a right to speak for my daughter because she cannot speak for herself. I have that right. And I cannot even I have not seen my daughter for 140 days. And this is going on. And I emailed the court. I have taken to the Prime Minister now, this is 140 days. And do ever blame it on COVID. Has nothing to do with that. COVID-19 has nothing to do with that. Because I didn't see my daughter for 72 days. I came and I saw her for 4 days. And this is just, it is doubling the amount now. It's a doubling the amount. This is how these people are treated with indigenous people. This is what is happening. Okay, let me read it quick. And indigenous people have the right, yes, to self-determination by virtue that their rights, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. Indigenous people, in exercising their right to self-determination, have the right to autonomy and self-government in matters relating in their internal and local affairs, as well as ways and means for financing their autonomous functions. We have the indigenous people have a right to self-determination. That's my right. This is one here quick. This is Article 7. You see Article 7? You see Article 7? Article 7. Look at it. Indigenous people have the right. Indigenous people have the collective right to live in freedom. That's what it is. Peace and security as distinct people and shall not be subject to any act of genocide. Genocide is taking place with my daughter, who I have not seen for 140 days. Do not know if she is dead or she is alive. Wherever she is, I do not know. I have no idea. But this is what it says, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. This is what it says. That indigenous people have the collective right to live in freedom and peace and security as distinct people and shall not be subject to any act of genocide or any other act of violence, and that leads to violence. I have not seen my daughter for 140 days. That leads to violence. Because of this system, I am not state property. The name you see there as Amenhotep, I am representing Amenhotep. I am not state property. Also my daughter. Okay. Indigenous people have the right to... We shall not be subject to any act of genocide or any act of violence, including forcibly removing children of the group to another group. Forcibly removing children. I cut my daughter's umbilical cord. I protect my daughter. I care for my daughter. I was always there and I always will be there. I am her daddy. I always will be there. Because I am proud to be her daddy. And for these corporations to want to treat you like that and feel that you're black, so they could cheat because black has no standing at law. So when you post things on social media concerning this, these corporations who hire these judges and they want to shut, you must not say anything, you must take that bullshit from them. But I am not black, I am white. And I have standing at law, I have rights. And Mr. Nicholas Ali, you produce your authority. You produce your authority. I am calling you out, Mr. Nicholas Ali of the Shogunate Magistrate Court. I am calling you, produce your authority on what you have over my daughter and I spoke already. I have sent that to the Prime Minister. And he's to CC to these people whose name I call. This is mine and my daughter's. You produce your document, you produce your authority, what you have on me and my daughter. When, and you produce yours. I have not seen my daughter for 140 days today. You produce your document that is how it's supposed to be, according to what they call law. Is it law or is it rules? So I supposed to abide by rules? Abdul Gadur, white power, white power, white power.